Hi guys, Soloq here with a new video, and this is my feedback video towards solo queue RBGs or duo queue RBGs, because you can duo queue with a healer, which is going to be fantastic. By the way, I've been playing a lot of PTR games. Yesterday we played close to 20 to 25 games RBGs. We won and we lost. I've played in nearly every map. The only maps that I haven't touched, and as a shame, those are the CTF maps. So Warsong, Gorge and Twin Peaks. Eye of the Storm, I don't count it as a CTF map. It's a domination map with a CTF component. CTF means capture the flag. And I have a lot of feedback to give. So I'm going to post it on Reddit, on the forums, on YouTube, everything, so we can maybe change something. I want to preface everything I'm going to say. I am super positive about solo queue. It has been a blast, and I think the only issue that could be really an issue on 10.2 is that it is going to start as a brawl and people are not going to play for peanuts. So that's the issue. They're not going to play without rank. They're going to try it and then they're going to drop it until the real thing is going to come out. So that's a real shame. But overall, the gameplay is perfect. I think the pacing is normally perfect. I'm going to explain why I'm saying normally. I think the modifications on every single map that has modifications are magnifique, and I think the ability to play with any spec whenever you want to have huge fun is actually a plus. You don't want to put barriers in front of people that want to play, let's say, an enhancement shaman. I played 2 games of enhancement shaman because I wanted to play multiple classes so I can give my opinion on a further video, talking about every class I played and the classes I played against, but that will be for a future video. But it's fantastic that I'd be able to play Enhancement Shaman, have a lot of fun, also won those matches and feel like I made a difference while playing those matches. But I will make a praise video after this one, but this is like a pure feedback. So if you feel like I'm nitpicking, sometimes I will, because I feel like, look, I'm going to give all the feedback I have on my mind, and then we're going from there. So I don't know how long this video will be. I don't have a notepad, I don't have anything like written. It's like fresh in my memory, so everything that will come out of my mind is pretty much how I feel with every single map. Now I'm going to talk map per map, and then I'm going to talk about systems and how it feels to play 8 versus 8, which I'm going to spoil. 8 versus 8 is a pretty good standard. I was saying 6 versus 6 since the beginning of Shadowlands pretty much, but 8 versus 8 is probably better. So let's talk right now. So the first map I want to talk is Eye of the Storm. I think Eye of the Storm is a good map. The changes are actually fantastic. It makes you actually go for the flags if you want to reset the nodes. Of course, if you don't have 2 nodes, because like one of the nodes, so if like the enemy team has 2 nodes, it's actually very hard to capture the flag, of course. But that's why you kind of need to go as a group and try to attack one node, and eventually you will get a node back. It's very fast paced. Often not, you can come back with a swing because of like your classes. For example, a good knockback can win you a game. If you actually can kill the flag carrier while you have 2 nodes, you can hold the flag so you can have and keep those 2 nodes, or you're going to capture the flag so you can actually reset those nodes. Let's say you're going to lose the other node on the other side of the map because you have awareness, then you just cap the flag so you can actually reset those nodes and go back to a neutral standpoint. Personally, Eye of the Storm has been one of the best maps I've played so far. I have 2 other maps where I feel like I have had more fun, but Eye of the Storm is probably the map if you like a lot of small skirmishes, some big team fights here and there. But personally, I play like a side noder, so I had like a lot of 1v1s, 1v2s, even 2v2s, and sometimes you lose, sometimes you win, and I felt like I had like some impact on that map. I feel like you can have a lot of impact as a player, which is a fantastic thing. I think again, like I said, pacing is very important in solo queue because you don't want to have like longer games, because if you feel like it's a slow drag and you're losing the game, people will just leave. If they feel like, look, I'm going to play a 20-minute game and it feels like I'm going to lose, people are going to leave because of that. But the good thing is you have obviously the faster pace, but also the 2 nodes, and then the flag to reset to neutral. It feels like you can come back at any point. So it feels like people are not really leaving, and it's a PTR game without ranked, and who cares if someone leaves, pretty much kind of feel. And nobody really left except like a few people here and there, and those people were at the start of the RBG event, and then they never came back because, again, it was not for them, right? RBG is maybe not for them, or PvP is not for them. But anyways, I think Eye of the Storm currently, I don't feel like you need really a lot of changes, and I'm fine with how it is right now. Now I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room. You have 3 maps that are unchanged. I'm going to start with Gilneas. I think Gilneas has the same problem as Team RBGs, which is hard to come back whenever you're losing 2 nodes. If you have like 2 lost nodes, pretty much you're stuck on 1 node with a graveyard kind of res, which people can farm you and get the 3rd node pretty easily. On Gilneas, I often won 3-0 or lost 0-3 because it's just a map made very easily to not come back. I kind of played too many Gilneas, and now I'm a bit sick of it. I pretty much feel like they need to change something on that map. If not, just make like 2 nodes and just, I don't know, waterworks should be gone maybe. I don't know, man. I feel like the 3 node system on Gilneas doesn't really work 8 versus 8. It doesn't work 10v10 as well, by the way. I think the map is not big, but it's definitely not small enough to actually come back and to take those nodes. Even though you have like crazy mount speed, it feels like the map is not suited for 8 versus 8 and for that game mode. It feels like for 15 versus 15 it could be doable, but since it's a 8 versus 8 and 10v10 is also the same problem, it feels like, again, you're pretty much stuck with you win 2 nodes and then you can go for the 3rd one, or you're losing 2 nodes and you're pretty much like suffering most of the game. So that's pretty much my opinion for Gilneas. I really don't like the fact that they didn't really change anything towards it. Also, like whenever you're taking a node, you don't have a protection towards it whenever you're like capping. It would be nice that actually the nodes like fall off, like on Arathi and Deepwind Gorge. I think that's a neat thing that actually promotes offensive play. And also just trying to again ninja cap those nodes. I think it's a shame that they didn't really change anything. Maybe they will. Personally, I don't really like Gilneas map, like the Gilneas 3 domination map, but that's my opinion. I think it would be preferable that they use the system from Arathi and for Deepwind Gorge. Although the map is not as big, I think having the nodes actually fall off makes it a bit more interesting, in the fact that you have to recap it and you have to fight for it. You don't need to just defend and try to anti-cap the whole game, right? It would be nice, but I will have to see for that. Now the second, I think the worst map for me has been Kotmugu. Kotmugu, although they write on the post that it is a fast-paced map, well, it's the least fast-paced map of all the maps, because games can be as long as 15 minutes, because it is just unchanged. Nothing changed on that map, and if you're having a stalemate and the orbs are dropping left, right, and center, the games can go up to 15 minutes, sometimes 16 minutes, so well, where's the purpose on that? When you wanted to have that map still fast-paced, but right now it is the least fast-paced map. Also, I think having 4 orbs at any time, just I don't like that with 8 versus 8. I think it's way too complicated, because sometimes you are like I said with the concerns videos. You had, like, for example, 3 rogues in your team. Well, on Kotmugu, unfortunately, a rogue taking our orb is useless most of the time. Especially if you get the PvP talent with cloak, you basically cloak and it falls off of your body. So I think they need to go to a 2 orb kind of map where it falls off every 45 seconds, so you have to retake the orbs. So you can actually like expect, look, he's holding the whole orb, we cannot kill him, but at least we can get the next orb in 45 seconds, and then try to switch those orbs up every single time, like for example in Eye of the Storm. I think that would be the greatest play. augment the amount of points you win by holding an orb, so it doesn't feel like 2 orbs is going to be too slow to win the game compared to 4 orbs. But I think if you want to have fast-paced game and also reward again the players, because I'm going to say 3 rogues is very hard to enjoy Kotmugu. It's very hard. Like there are no times where I really enjoy that map. First and foremost, I already don't like that map, especially in team RPGs where it's a puck stomper pretty much. But also in normal RPGs, I think Kotmugu is just not that fun. But now it's 8 versus 8 and having like team comps that are a bit more random as well. Again, I don't think they are not going to change anything about class stacking because the queue times are going to be important. But I think if you could actually give 2 orbs, which is going to fall off every 45 seconds, then you have like a very good dynamic and people can actually just know what's up with the game, and whenever they have to switch orbs or whenever they have to walk towards the orbs to actually retake it, for example. That would make it more fast-paced, more strategic as well, less of a like pure 8 versus 8 team deathmatch, because that feels like that most of the time. And again, the better comp usually wins. Again, I also won Kotmugus with let's say 2 boomies and 1 elemental shaman, 1 warrior, 1 paladin, like retribution paladin. And then versus us, we had like 2 ferals, 2 rogues. Yeah, I mean, what do you expect? They are stealthies. If they take the orb, they basically delete a few abilities of their bars. So I think if they put like 2 orbs at least, you have more chances to have like some orb carriers. While again, the likelihood to have 4 or 5 rogues in one single team is going to be drastically low. So that's why 2 orbs is going to be alright, right? So that's my opinion again. I personally didn't like Kotmugu, but I like the solo queue aspect of the game, of course. But I didn't like the map. I think a lot of people can agree with me there. I don't think it's like a hot take, but if it's a hot take, please let me know. And now the last map, which are like the unchanged maps, and then we're going to talk about Deepwind and Arathi Bassin, and of course the CTF maps, which I didn't play. Silvershard Mines, I also didn't like it. I liked it more than Gilneas and Kotmugu. I just think the cards should move a bit faster. I think if the cards moved a bit faster, it would be very fast paced, don't get me wrong, but some games feels like people are like stuck at lava. I think it's more of a PTR kind of thing. People are not going on the off cards. So they are thinking, look, we need to win lava because then we're winning the game, which is not really true. The off cards can often just win you the game, and lava is like the team fight pot. If you're winning the team fights, you get lava most of the time. But the off cards actually gives you the most points if you get the two cards from water and earth. I think if the cards are more fast paced, the game is going to be more fast paced as well. I feel like the map is too little though on most aspects for 8 versus 8. You're going to call me like crazy because in team RPGs it's 10v10, but in team RPGs you often just have like side noders that are like defined, like for example garden druid with a rogue. They are going to switch between earth and water most of the time, and then you have like the big team fights at lava. It's quite kind of boring in team RPGs pretty much, but in 8 versus 8 I feel like it could be more fast-paced, since again you can be without tanks, you can be without rogues, so you want to actually go to the off cards and fight there as well, like team fights, and that's not really happening. Now I don't know if it's because again we have 3 cards, maybe it should only be 2 cards and speed it up, so the amount of time played is still the same as 3 cards, but at least you have like 2 big points where you have to team fight. But I don't know. I kind of need to still brainstorm a bit about Silvershard Mines, because I think the concept is cool about like again bringing a card into the end point to get the most points and to stand inside the cards to actually gain points. But I think the issue is pretty much that you have 3 cards for 8 players instead of like 2 cards for 8 players, which would probably be more organic. Now that's my opinion. I don't know if they can actually change the map to that way. They could just disable like 1 card every single time, and then you have like a switching card thing where you have like different environments. I think that could be maybe cool, but I think if you just keep it like this, it's meh. Again, most players play Silvershard Mines and they said, ah, I wish it was Arathi Bassin, ah, I wish it was Warsong. And that's kind of the feel that, again, Soloq Rbg can bring. It's going to be very fun to do Soloq Rbgs, but some people will prefer other maps than Silvershard Mines and Kotmugu. Personally, I don't really like those maps. Silvershard Mines is cool conceptually, but if you put actually 2 cards at all times instead of 3, it could be more strategic in my opinion. Now let's talk about the better maps. The le crème de la crème. Again, I'm French, so I do my English accent a bit on purpose. Like my English accent is a bit Frenchy as well. But so Arathi Bassin. Arathi Bassin has been the most favorite map to me. I think the landscape being from LM being a high point and then mines to be a low point and stables and farms being like symmetrical, I would say. And then you have like BS, which is the big midpoint that you kind of need to actually be able to rotate pretty quickly. I really enjoy that map. I also enjoy the fact that you have like a neutral point where you need to cap it, and then you have like 30 seconds to actually defend the cap. And for those 30 seconds, you can cap it back as an enemy team. But if the 30 seconds are over and it is capped, for 45 seconds, you cannot cap it. So that's why it is actually promoting ghosting. You don't want to sit at the base for 45 seconds while the enemy cannot take it. So what you want to do is, for example, take farm, stay till 26 seconds. You will have a weak hour for that or add-on for that. And then you're going to try to decide, look, I'm going to now ghost the farm to go to GM, for example. And you have multiple power-ups that can give you like sight, they can give you also stealth, they can give you shields and reset your CDs. You have ways to again try to dictate the map and how it will go. Don't stand at farm sitting 45 seconds to defend something that is not attackable. Of course, once you are in mines and you feel like either you're going to take it, either you're going to lose it, you have to retreat back to go back to farm, which is going to be ready in 5 seconds because it dropped off. So after 45 seconds, it will drop off, and then it will give you 5 seconds to actually like cool down, I would say, and then it becomes neutral. And then you can cap it back, and then you need to wait 30 seconds again or 26 seconds because your cap time is 4 seconds, so realistically they cannot take it back. Then you decide to just roam again. So that's pretty much the gameplay. And then of course you have like those team fight nodes where people are sitting there and trying to team fight and try to take the node, and they know once the node is taken, that's pretty much GG's for that node because teamfight is going to be going on, and you have like the anti-cap kind of thing. But again, you cannot do it at Eternum, so you cannot do that every single time because you will cap it 30 seconds and then you have 45 seconds where you cannot cap it. So the best way to actually go with that situation is actually retreat and go somewhere else. Don't fight on a node which is already taken, it's useless. So I realized that pretty quickly while I played the games, and it's pretty much the same for Deepwind Gorge, by the way, but Deepwind Gorge is a bit more flat, so it's a bit less eventful, I would say. But pretty much I decided, look, I don't want to be involved in team fights because it's only one node and generally you're stuck in those team fights with slow CC. It's a bit of a hectic situation. So I prefer to move away from those big team fights and try to go for the side nodes and try to cap it 30 seconds, like 26 seconds, then move out, get that 45 seconds of points that you get from, for example, Shrine or Farm, depending on the map you're playing, and then go for, let's say, Farm from a Deepwind Gorge or going for GM, let's say, in Arathi Bassin, and you try to move very quickly and try to have an impact with that. And often I kind of win games because of that, because I decided to be proactive instead of like standing still for 45 seconds and then cap it back, which you can do, but again, if you have the advantage of 45 seconds of uncappable bases, why not just use that time, that precious time with your mount, which is sped up, to actually go attack other nodes. And again, you can just press M and see what's going on with, or you do the little mini map on the screen. Again, I'm not doing that because it's already cluttered, so for videos it's very annoying. I'm very annoyed about the videos, by the way. A lot of the audio is corrupted, so there's a lot of footage I cannot really show, except maybe over a commentary, like for example right now you kind of see on the screen. But I think Arathi Bassin and Deepwind Gorge are a huge success and kind of need to actually do the same treatment to Gilneas. I think Gilneas should be changed to that system for 8 versus 8. That's my opinion, of course. Now I want to talk about Deepwind Gorge very quickly. A lot of complaints are it's too big of a map. Personally, I'm alright because I know that I played around like a side noder and I know when to move. People were standing still for 45 seconds on a basis, so of course it kind of feels like it's a big map because you're not moving when you need to move. If you're moving way too late, then of course you have to cap it back, and since you're already left, you have to come back, and it feels like you're wasting time. But if you're strategic and you know, look, I'm capping at 26 seconds, it's safe to go away because it's a 4-second cast time. Then you can just move. You have 50 seconds, even 55 seconds in total, because there is a 5 second where you cannot cap and it's neutral, to come back if you're fighting or whatever. And since the fights are very fast paced, of course, if you're going into team fights, don't expect to get out of the team fights very quickly if you're not like rogue, or if you're not someone that is actually can actually disengage pretty easily. But that's why hunters, rogues, mages, I'm thinking, what else? Druids in general are going to be fantastic to be side noders, while for example warriors, it's miserable to play. I'm going to make a video about the classes I played and the actual feel of every single class in spec I played, and also against, and tell you my opinion about every single class in spec, so you can actually decide maybe for a main going into the 10.2 patch. Anyways, let's talk about the CTFs, which I didn't play. From what I've heard, it was very fun to play. I can understand that. I think it just is silly that only tanks can play, because of, well, there is a flag and you have to take it, so you have to soak damage, but you already take most damage because, again, you're a tank, so you get minus 30% damage taken, plus 30% damage taken, plus also you have these stacks on the flag, so pretty much you're not a tank whenever you're taking it. So my suggestion, and this is the biggest feedback I can give for CTF, again, you have like probably timestamps here below because I think that's important for the feedback, so Blizzard can actually watch it without like spending all the blah blah with me. But I think they should allow DPS only comps to play on CTF maps. And if it's a DPS comp only, like just half the stacks, like the damage taken, so it feels like you're a tank, but you're not a tank, whenever you're taking the flag, because you're taking more damage as a tank, by the way. That's the reason why they put stacks. They could either remove all the stacks, but I don't think it's a good idea because healing is very strong currently. Again, there is a lot of balancing that has to be like done, so don't expect the balancing to be good right now on PTR because it is not. That's not a problem. Although I didn't really feel I got one-shot most of the time, so I think that's alright, but healers are very strong. And I think it's alright to be strong, but I think it still needs a bit of balancing here and there. I think if you allow DPS only, first and foremost, you have 2 more maps to play on. Let's be honest, there's not a lot of tanks, and tank queues are actually very long. I tried to tank queue, I just abandoned it, and it was the PTR blue like event, so I expect it on live to be also very long. Also, again, if you're like a ground druid and you're facing, let's say, a protection warrior, chances are you're going to win those CTF maps. But I think if you allow players that are DPS only to be able to play CTF, I think it would be fine. If you just cancel the stacks, or not cancel, but they nerf it, like they nerf the stacks, so pretty much you get more stacks more quickly. They can just remove those nerfs. And also maybe a damage tuning on the flag, so it means that you take still more damage whenever you're taking the flag, but not like the absurd damage that is currently right now. I think that would be the play, because I think having 2 extra maps to play on, which are fan favorite maps. Again, Warsong Gorge, very fun map to play, and Twin Peaks, also very fun map to play, and with a lot of verticality. So it's actually very fun to actually play, let's say, someone that can bump. I think they kind of need to put that like that. I think you cannot really say, look, it's only tank only like map, because chances are you're never going to play those maps. Personally, I played from 20, so 8 o'clock my time to 2 a.m. So I played 6 hours of that PTR. First, it was very slow, the queues, and then it ramps up because a lot of people were playing. I didn't get one Warsong Gorge or Twin Peaks map, and I even had tank queues. So I played with, like, let's say, a brewmaster. I played with a protection warrior, with a protection paladin. Not me, but I mean in my team, and I didn't get those maps because all maps are available to tanks. So it means that your likelihood, again, that's the statistics. It just works like that. If you have like 8 maps and it's only available to tanks, and you have also like DPS queues, again, depending on the amount of tanks you have in the game, chances are you're going to probably play 1 or 2 CTF maps over 100 games, which is not acceptable because those maps are fan favorites. You want to give them to us because those maps are actually fun to play. I also think sure, maybe 8 versus 8 could be something, but from, again, it's not really my favorite map either. I detest that map. But I think for 8 versus 8, and if they tweak it a bit, it could be interesting to maybe incorporate into Soloq Rbgs. But that's not the point. I think for CTF's maps, they should allow DPS only queues. That's my opinion. Now let's talk about systemic things, like the systems. Someone leaves, it's too bad. Too bad for you. That pretty much is right now the case. So now the idea is to maybe give a buff to the players, or to either make them not lose MMR. I don't know. There's something you need to do to not punish those players that get the 7th player. But then again, if someone leaves at the end of the match and the match is like lost because of no reason, because just like someone left, do you need to like be compensated of the MMR while you were clearly losing like 1550 to 1600? I mean, I don't know if the lever actually does something there at the end of the match, like at the 12th minute, for example, Mark. I think in general you want to also punish people that are queuing and not entering. I did it once, like I got a debuff because I had a bug, and if you're not accepting the queue, you get a 1-minute deserter, which is fine. But the problem is the queue time to accept is 2 minutes. So it means that if someone really wants to ruin people time and they are like coordinated with a lot of people, they can actually just queue up and not accept for 2 minutes. Now my idea is, or at least my understanding is, it is a brawl, so it has brawl queue timers. So if you are like in random BG and you're accepting, you have like 1 or 2 minutes to accept to enter the BG. It's the same for brawl. What they need to do is probably give a 30-second queue or a 45-second queue, and that's it. So you don't have like crazy queue times to accept, right? Because sometimes I accept, it's 15 out of 16, and it makes me wait 2 minutes to actually get someone leaving the queue. So it's a bit like sad. So I think, again, I think it's because of the brawl, and it's a brawl system, so that's why it has like a 2-minute timer. But it would be nice that actually people had to accept the queue in 30 or 45 seconds max. That's my opinion. Class stacking is very annoying, but I think it can be a positive as a negative. I had like multiple elemental shamans in my team, and I lost most of those games. I got multiple rogues in my team, I also lost most of those games. But whenever you get like 3 boomies, I mean, that game is pretty much won. So again, it's like take it and leave it. Again, you get faster queues, so is it a problem? I don't think so. It's not the priority for sure, so fix the levers, fix the MMR system. The MMR system kind of works. I think it's like the same as Team RBGs pretty much. So you get like 192 CR for every win pretty much at the start. I really like it, so for now keep it like that. What else? I think, again, 6 DPS versus this 6 DPS, so the Q, so 8 versus 8, but 6 DPS versus 6 DPS, should be also able to go for CTF maps. That is my opinion. Again, I don't know if someone can be disagreeing with me, but pretty much if you're saying, but it has stacks, then just remove those stacks for those games, pretty much. Let me see, let me understand. I'm still thinking. Also, healers are very strong. I heard a lot of people saying we want dampening. I'm going to say we don't want dampening. Because if you're putting dampening, you're actually ruining a lot of self-heals potential and potential to 1v2 and 1v3 whenever you're playing right. I think a Arms Warrior or a Enhancement Shaman or a Fury Warrior or a Elemental Shaman or a Affliction Warlock or Destruction Warlock or DK or whatever should be able to self-heal. A DK finally actually feels like you can self-heal because it doesn't have dampening, so Death Strike makes sense. But Death Strike in Soul Shuffle doesn't make sense because it's nerfed and you have dampening, for example. So don't put dampening, it's stupid. I think right now you just need to put individual balancing kind of thing towards the healers and towards the DPS. I think some DPSers have like not that much DPS, that's the truth. And some DPSers are not really optimal because you don't have the optimal RBG comp, which is bound to happen. And some healers are just straight up unkillable. For example, resto druids are very hard to kill. Disc priests are also very hard to kill. Holy priests were already slippery, but now even more. Holy paladin, I didn't see too many holy paladins, but I guess because it doesn't really get too many changes. Mistweaver monks were obnoxious. Feast weavers, man, they are obnoxious. But I think it's mostly because of a tier set that is actually available to them, and they actually can produce a lot of heals because of that. I think in general you have a great thing going on with Soloq Rbg. There is not a lot of feedback I can give that can be changed from the get-go. I think most of the feedback I can give can actually be changed on the get-go, but the feedback I'm thinking about, like let's say changing a few maps that are not used, for example, or changing like core mechanics to some maps are a bit more difficult to actually implement. I think, like, again, saying that tanks needs to be reworked to support DPS, or they actually in the same pool, could be nice, but I think it's like an expansion kind of thing. I don't think they're going to put it as a support DPS anytime soon. I think in general class stacking, although I say it as a problem, it's really just nitpicking. If the queue times are fast, I think it's going to be good enough. I think it's going to be good enough to actually have loads of games as a player. Again, hopefully you also played the PTR with the blues. Please list the feedback you have in the comment section below, or in the post, or in the Reddit forum. I think the blues are really listening currently. Again, is everything going to be able to be changed? I don't think so, but I'm very positive that it is the future of PvP. They just need to be very careful with the changes that they are doing. Make the queue times as fast as possible so you can actually get a lot of training, a lot of play. Make the MMR easy to get, but also easy to lose. I think that's also very important, because you don't want to have like an inflation of 5k CR. That's not really the thing either. But you either give like easy MMR to win, or you put thresholds. For example, if you're like reach 1600, you cannot be demoted. 1800, you cannot be demoted. But from 2k, there you can demote, for example. I think that could be a thing that will propose people towards the top end. But again, like League of Legends has that for bronze, silver, and gold. You don't see every bronzy to gold, right? Because it just is what it is. The game is not made to have everyone 20-100. So I think you still have a lower end, a mid end, and then a high end. But again, those are like systemic, like whole MMR kind of thing. But we'll have to discuss it a bit more in the future. Again, thank you for watching. It has been a very long video, but I had a lot of things to say about the PTR and the BGs. I hope that my video has been a positive one. If people are thinking this video is a negative one. Please do not think that. I think Soloq Rbg is a blessing for World of Warcraft PvP. I think the devs have made a gem of a game mode. Now it's only like a time or where do they need to change a few things. I think the 3 maps that have unchanged things should be changed towards 8 versus 8 somehow, some way, so it feels a lot better, because those maps were the one things that I didn't like about the PTR, and that's it. But the game modes, and whenever it pops, and the giggling effect that I had whenever I was carrying the game because of a play that I did, was actually glorious, and I would like that for everyone to actually test it and play it once 10.2 is out. Again, thank you and have a good day.